Number 1. The moment you stop needing approval. Listen carefully. The first trait of a man people can't ignore is not confidence, not dominance, not charisma. It is detachment from approval. The moment you stop needing permission to exist, the world recalibrates around you. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. Men are not respected because they beg to be liked. They are respected because they move as if respect is assumed. When you seek validation, you leak power. Every glance you chase, every explanation you offer, every apology you didn't need to give teaches people one thing: that you are negotiable. An untouchable man is not loud about his worth. He behaves as if his presence already has weight. He does not rush to be understood. He does not correct every misunderstanding. He allows silence to do the work that weak men try to do with words. This is cold psychology, but it is real. People sense when you don't emotionally lean on their reactions. Your calm unsettles them. Your restraint creates gravity. Stoicism is not emotional suppression, it is emotional sovereignty. You feel everything, but you do not hand the steering wheel to your impulses. Machiavellian reality is simple. Those who are hardest to read are hardest to control. When you stop explaining yourself, people start studying you. When you stop chasing respect, respect begins to chase you. This is where invisibility ends. Not because you demanded attention, but because your indifference to attention made you impossible to dismiss. Understand this deeply. The world does not ignore men who don't need it. It watches them. And once you reach this point, there is no going back. Because power gained through self-mastery cannot be taken, only abandoned. Number 2, controlled speech is controlled power. The second trait of a man people can't ignore is restraint in speech. Weak men talk to feel important. Powerful men speak to move reality. Machiavelli warned that words are not harmless. They reveal strategy, insecurity, and intent. Every unnecessary sentence is a confession. Every emotional outburst is a loss of leverage. When you speak less, people listen harder. When you answer slowly, they assume depth. Silence creates asymmetry, and asymmetry creates power. Dark psychology is clear on this. The one who reacts first loses frame. A man who controls his tongue controls the tempo of every interaction. He does not rush to fill silence because he understands silence is pressure. He lets others expose themselves while he observes. Stoic masculinity is not about being mute, it is about precision. You speak when it matters. You stop when it doesn't. This makes your words heavier, sharper, unforgettable. Notice how men who cannot be ignored rarely argue. They decide. They don't over-explain. They conclude. They don't convince. They declare. Machiavellian reality is ruthless here. People respect decisiveness more than correctness. A man who speaks with certainty, even briefly, commands more authority than one who speaks endlessly, trying to be right. And here is the darker truth. Most people talk themselves out of power. They vent, they justify, they reveal fears disguised as opinions. You will not. You will become disciplined enough to let your thoughts mature before you release them. Because once words leave your mouth, they belong to the world, and the world uses them against you. When you master silence, you gain psychological invisibility and strategic clarity at the same time. People can't read you, can't predict you, can't corner you, and that uncertainty makes them cautious. Respect follows caution, power follows respect. This is not about being mysterious for attention, it's about being untouchable by exposure. Speak less, mean more, and watch how rooms shift when you do. Number 3, emotional control is invisible dominance. The third trait of a man people can't ignore is emotional control under pressure. Not the fake calm of suppression, but the lethal calm of command. Machiavelli understood that the man who can be provoked can be owned. Your emotions are not weaknesses. Your lack of control over them is. Dark psychology is brutal here. Whoever triggers you controls you. An untouchable man does not erupt, explain, or collapse when challenged. He absorbs tension like gravity. Insults bounce off him not because he is numb, but because he decides what deserves a response. Stoic masculinity teaches this hard truth. Your feelings are signals, not orders. You feel anger, but you don't deploy it blindly. You feel fear, but you don't let it vote. When others expect reaction and receive restraint, it unsettles them. They push harder. You remain still. And in that stillness, power shifts. People are drawn to emotional stability because chaos exhausts them. A man who stays composed when outcomes are uncertain becomes a psychological anchor. Others begin to orbit him. This is Machiavellian reality. Emotional predictability is weakness. Emotional discipline is dominance. You don't need to intimidate when your calm already does the job. Watch carefully. The men who explode feel strong for seconds, then lose respect for years. The man who controls himself gains silent authority that compounds. He is trusted in crisis, feared in conflict, respected in negotiation. This is why leaders are rarely the loudest. They are the steadiest. When you master emotional control, people stop testing you because they realize they can't move you. And when they can't move you, they can't manipulate you. This is the turning point where you stop being reactive and start being inevitable. You don't chase outcomes, you outlast resistance. Remember this, storms don't announce power by screaming. They announce it by continuing forward, unaffected by obstacles. Become that force. Number 4, you become selective with access, not affection. The fourth trait of a man people can't ignore is ruthless selectivity with access, not cruelty, not arrogance, precision. Machiavelli was clear, power is not about how many people you please, but how few people can reach you. Weak men make themselves available to everyone and valuable to no one. Strong men understand scarcity creates gravity. When everyone has access to you, no one respects your time, your energy, or your presence. Dark psychology exposes this pattern. People value what they must earn, not what is freely handed to them. An untouchable man does not chase connection. He filters it. He does not fear being alone because solitude is where leverage is built. Stoic masculinity demands this discipline. You do not allow emotional freeloaders, time thieves, or chaos carriers into your inner circle. You don't explain why your boundaries exist. You enforce them, calmly, consistently, without guilt. And this is where people begin to feel your absence more than your availability. When you stop over-giving, people lean in. When you stop over-explaining, they adjust. When you stop being everywhere, your presence starts to matter. Machiavellian reality is sharp here. Distance creates respect faster than effort ever could. This is why kings were hidden behind walls and rituals, not to feel superior, but to remain unapproachable by impulse. You adopt the same principle mentally. Not everyone gets your attention. Not every message deserves a response. Not every invitation deserves a yes. And once people realize access to you is conditional, their behavior changes. They become sharper, more respectful, more intentional. You don't need to demand better treatment. Your boundaries demand it for you. This is the silent shift where you stop being consumed by others and start being considered by them. Understand this deeply. Availability is not kindness when it erodes self-respect. True power is choosing where your presence lands and letting the rest feel the consequence of not having it. Number 5, you move with purpose, not urgency. The fifth trait of a man people can't ignore is the absence of urgency in his movement. Urgency signals need, purpose signals control. Machiavellian reality is unforgiving here. The man who rushes reveals dependence. The man who moves deliberately reveals dominance. When you hurry, people sense pressure. When you slow down, they sense authority. Dark psychology explains this clearly. Those who feel in control of outcomes are never frantic. An untouchable man does not sprint toward validation, success, or approval. He advances with intention. Every step is chosen. Every action is aligned. Stoic masculinity rejects panic because panic clouds judgment. You stop reacting to time as an enemy and start using it as a weapon. While others scramble, you calculate. While others chase opportunities, you build position. This is why powerful men are rarely impulsive. Impulse belongs to those who fear missing out. You don't fear absence, you trust trajectory. When you enter a room without haste, conversations pause. When you make decisions without emotional speed, people assume foresight. The world reads tempo as status. Fast is frantic, slow is strategic. Machiavelli knew this. Rulers who appeared too eager invited challenge, while those who moved with patience commanded compliance. This applies to everything: speech, ambition, conflict, success. You don't argue immediately, you don't celebrate prematurely, you don't retaliate emotionally, you wait. And waiting is not weakness when it is intentional. It is restraint sharpened into power. Others exhaust themselves trying to keep up with life. You conserve energy and outlast them. This is where presence becomes intimidating without effort. People begin to adjust their pace around you. They wait for your response. They watch your reaction. Because a man who does not rush cannot be rushed. And a man who cannot be rushed cannot be cornered. This is the quiet transformation, from someone trying to arrive to someone others must approach. Number 6, you stop seeking fairness and start seeking advantage. The 6th trait of a man people can't ignore is the death of his obsession with fairness. This is where boys separate from men. Machiavelli was merciless on this point. The world does not reward what is fair, it rewards what is effective. Weak men cling to fairness because it gives them moral comfort when they lose. Powerful men study advantage because it gives them leverage when it matters. Dark psychology reveals an uncomfortable truth. Most people are not playing fair. They are playing smart while pretending to be fair. When you demand fairness, you expose naivety. When you design advantage, you display intelligence. Stoic masculinity does not complain about injustice. It adapts to reality. You stop asking, "Is this right?" and start asking, "Is this useful?" Not because you lack morals, but because survival precedes virtue. An untouchable man understands systems, incentives, and human behavior. He knows people follow self-interest more than principles, and he plans accordingly. This is why he is rarely surprised and never outraged. Outrage is wasted energy. Strategy is stored power. You don't cry about rules being broken. You learn how rules are actually bent. You don't expect loyalty. You create conditions where loyalty benefits others more than betrayal. Machiavellian reality is harsh but liberating. Once you stop romanticizing fairness, you stop being disappointed by the world. You begin to see patterns clearly. You stop taking losses personally and start analyzing them professionally. This is where emotional resilience turns into tactical intelligence. People sense this shift. They realize you are not driven by emotion or ego, but by outcome. That makes you dangerous in the quietest way, because you are no longer predictable through morality alone. You are grounded in reality, and reality favors those who understand it without flinching. This does not make you cruel. It makes you prepared, and prepared men are never ignored. Number 7, you become comfortable being misunderstood. The 7th trait of a man people can't ignore is his comfort with being misunderstood. This is where most men break. They explain, clarify, defend, and dilute themselves just to be seen correctly. Machiavelli knew better. Perception is more powerful than truth, and trying to control every perception is a losing game. Dark psychology confirms this. The more you try to manage how people see you, the more power you hand them. An untouchable man does not correct every false assumption. He lets outcomes speak louder than narratives. Stoic masculinity embraces this discipline. You accept that not everyone deserves clarity, and not everyone is capable of it. When you stop chasing understanding, you gain freedom of movement. People project onto you, speculate about you, and argue about you, and that ambiguity creates psychological weight. The hardest man to manipulate is the one you can't categorize. If they think you're cold, let them. If they think you're arrogant, let them. If they underestimate you, even better. Misunderstanding is not a threat when you are grounded in purpose. It becomes camouflage. Weak men panic when they're misread because their identity depends on external validation. Strong men remain unmoved because their identity is internal and reinforced by results. Machiavellian reality is ruthless here. Those who are easy to understand are easy to predict, and those who are easy to predict are easy to defeat. You stop giving people emotional explanations. You stop narrating your intentions. You stop clarifying your silence. Silence does not need translation. This restraint creates mystique, and mystique creates caution. People become careful around you because they don't know your limits, your plans, or your reactions. That caution is respect in its rawest form. You are no longer controlled by the need to be liked, validated, or understood. You move forward while others debate your motives, and while they talk, you position. While they judge, you progress. Remember this: history never remembers men for being understood in their time. It remembers them for being effective despite misunderstanding. Become that man. Number 8, you master patience as a weapon. The 8th trait of a man people can't ignore is weaponized patience. Not passive waiting, but calculated endurance. Machiavelli understood that time exposes everyone, especially the impatient. Dark psychology shows this clearly. Most people self-destruct not from lack of ability, but from inability to wait. They rush decisions, reveal intent, burn bridges, and exhaust leverage because discomfort feels unbearable. An untouchable man does the opposite. He becomes comfortable with delay. He allows tension to stretch. He lets situations ripen before acting. Stoic masculinity teaches this discipline. You don't need immediate relief when long-term position is at stake. You can sit with uncertainty without flinching. That alone separates you from the majority. Patience gives you informational advantage. While others rush to speak, you listen. While others demand answers, you observe behavior, and behavior never lies. Machiavellian reality is ruthless here. The man who can wait can outmaneuver the man who cannot. When you don't rush outcomes, people begin to reveal their hands. They grow nervous. They over-explain. They compromise prematurely, and you gain leverage without force. This is why powerful negotiators, leaders, and strategists all share one trait. They are never in a hurry. They know urgency is contagious, and they refuse to catch it. You stop chasing closure. You stop demanding resolution. You allow things to remain unresolved until they favor you. This calm endurance unnerves people because it signals one thing. You are not desperate for outcome, which means you have options. And a man with options is always dangerous. Patience also sharpens your judgment. You don't act on emotion spikes. You let impulses cool, facts surface, and clarity emerge. This makes your decisions clean and difficult to challenge. Others move fast and make noise. You move slow and change reality. Remember this: impatience is emotional slavery. Patience is silent authority. When people realize you cannot be rushed, pressured, or baited into action, they stop trying. And when they stop trying to move you, they start moving around you. That is power that doesn't announce itself. It simply endures until everything else gives way. Number 9, you detach from outcomes while controlling direction. The 9th trait of a man people can't ignore is his detachment from outcomes combined with absolute control over direction. This is where psychological dominance becomes permanent. Machiavelli understood that the man obsessed with outcomes becomes predictable, and predictability is a leash. Dark psychology exposes this clearly. People who need a specific result can be manipulated through that need. An untouchable man refuses this trap. He commits to direction, not desperation. He knows where he's going, but he does not emotionally cling to how or when he arrives. Stoic masculinity calls this inner sovereignty. You do the work, make the moves, and release attachment to reward. This terrifies people because they can't bait you with fear or bribe you with hope. You are no longer emotionally invested in winning every battle because you're focused on winning the war. When plans fail, you don't collapse, you recalibrate. When doors close, you don't beg, you reroute. This flexibility is not weakness, it is strategic fluidity. Machiavellian reality is sharp here. Rigid men break, adaptable men rule. Detachment gives you emotional distance, and emotional distance gives you clarity. You stop taking resistance personally. You stop interpreting obstacles as insults. You see them as information, and information is power. People sense this internal calm and mistake it for coldness, but it is deeper than that. It is independence from emotional leverage. You cannot be threatened with loss when you've already released attachment to outcome. You cannot be pressured with timelines when you understand time bends to persistence. This makes you dangerous in silence. Others gamble emotionally. You invest strategically. Others panic when control slips. You remain steady because your control comes from discipline, not circumstance. Remember this truth. The man who controls direction but does not worship outcome is impossible to corner. He cannot be rushed, bribed, or broken. He moves forward regardless of applause or resistance. And the world does not ignore men who cannot be stopped. It eventually makes room for them. Number 10, you become a presence, not a performer. The final trait of a man people can't ignore is this. You stop performing and start being. Performers seek reaction. Presences command attention without asking for it. Machiavelli understood that image collapses under pressure, but essence endures. Dark psychology confirms it. The more you try to project power, the less you possess it. An untouchable man does not advertise strength. He removes weakness. He does not posture, he positions. Stoic masculinity is fully realized here. You no longer need to prove anything to anyone, because your life is structured around discipline, not display. You walk into rooms without scanning for approval. You hold eye contact without challenge. You listen without submission. This quiet gravity unsettles people because it offers no hooks. They can't flatter you into compliance. They can't provoke you into reaction. They can't shame you into explanation. You have exited the emotional marketplace. Machiavellian reality is clear. Men who perform burn out. Men who are endure. Your routines are consistent. Your standards are enforced. Your word is measured. Over time, this compounds into reputation. And reputation is power that works while you sleep. People begin to adjust before you speak. They prepare before you arrive. They calculate before they cross you. Not because you threaten, but because your presence signals consequence. This is the endgame of cold power psychology. You are no longer chasing influence. Influence follows structure. You don't need to be everywhere. Your name travels faster than you do. You don't need to argue. Outcomes argue for you. You don't need to dominate. Stability outlasts dominance. This is what it means to become untouchable. Not invincible, but unmovable. Not feared by everyone, but respected by those who matter. If you felt this monologue tightening something inside you, that's not motivation. That's recognition. You're not becoming someone new. You're removing what made you invisible. If this sharpened your thinking, like the video, subscribe and turn on notifications, because the men who don't get ignored are the ones who keep showing up prepared.